Hello and welcome back to the StarLadder I-League Invitational Season 4. We've already said goodbye to one team earlier today, that was Infamous, and one other team will go home in shame in a couple of hours, just a few hours. Depends on how long this series actually lasts, because it might be 3 games, it might be 2 games. We're going to have a match between Kinguin and Team Empire. Both were dropped to the lower bracket yesterday. And to talk you through it all, we got Luminous as well as Pyrian Flex.
Hey.
Welcome back. Lumi, first thoughts on this match, on the Poland versus Russia, if you will?
I think it's going to be a pretty close one. I feel like both teams are quite similarly skilled. I rank Kinguin a little bit higher.
Okay.
Really?
But they had a pretty weak showing yesterday, so we'll see.
How about you, Ted?
I actually thought Empire looked really good in the first game that we saw them play against Newbie.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, they really turned up. And then, I mean, I think Newbie are the better team, and they just kind of showed their class in the other two. But I mean, Kinguin are decent. I really thought they played pretty well, but I'm going to give it to Empire. I personally think they just showed a little bit more.
Yeah, because let's talk about how these two teams actually got to this place. Yesterday, if you look at the score, Kinguin versus Mineski, it was 2-0. Seems pretty straightforward, but it really wasn't.
No.
That one was one for the books.
Were you casting that one?
I was casting that one.
That was some game.
That
From
was
your perspective,
crazy.
What the hell happened? Because we know what we saw watching it, but I know when you're casting the game, you're much more involved. What do you think was the turning point? They got the rapier, everything was going great, and all of a sudden it all went wrong. What happened?
I think they just got frustrated. They were winning very much so. They got all 3 lanes of Raxus. I was calling it, well, the game's over. Because not only did they get all 3 lanes of Raxus, they did it with Lycan and Syllabary. So I was thinking, okay, next push, they're going to just overwhelm them.
Yeah.
And then Mushi started turning up.
Yeah, he
So
did.
to me, this wasn't as much about Kinguin messing up. Sure, they kept running into a break wall, it feels like, but it was also Mineski playing like gods.
Yeah.
So hopefully that hasn't affected them too much. The way I saw that game was a 1-1 with Mineski pulling a trick out of the magic hat.
Yeah, true.
So, yeah. You know, who knew what happened with in Game 3? Maybe Mineski would be in this position.
Yeah, maybe.
So
yeah, it was definitely that close. But yeah, you're right. I'd forgotten how on top Kinguin actually were in that game.
Leading up to that point,
yeah,
and then they started,
the point where they just basically threw the game away. But it wasn't like one moment for me where they threw it. It was like this gradual realization where, oh my God, this is actually happening. We're actually going to lose from this position. Like they haven't lost any racks at that point. It was like this cannot happen. And I wonder, yeah, like you said, I wonder if that has shaken them or like knocked their confidence a bit going into this, but I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, it was the ultimate game that proves that you should never give up.
Never give up. Never give up.
A real crazy game. I mean, we kind of spoiled the result, of course, but still very much worth looking back. But just scroll to the ending of the game, because you know the first bit is just Kinguin being very dominant over Mineski. So I'm hoping that Kinguin was able to shake that loss off, because that is a very tough loss to come back from. Hopefully they'll have something better in store against Team Empire. And then Empire yesterday had a series against Newbie, and they went 2-1. The second 2 games were kind of favored Newbie heavily, but the first game, they like upped the tempo. They were so dominant against Newbie that Newbie didn't know what to do. And Newbie normally is a very fast-playing team.
Yeah, yeah.
So if they even were outpacing Newbie, that was a really great showing from Empire, who are playing with a stand-in this tournament.
Yes, that's true. So you wouldn't have expected it. But it's Nyx, right?
Yes.
So this guy's good.
Yes.
And his Tinker was very, very good. And I think if they can get him on a hero that he really likes, give him a good lane, they've got a good chance against Kinguin. But yeah, we'll see. I don't know how experienced either of these teams are now at coming back from Mega Creeps.
True.
I mean, they've seen, you know, I haven't seen Team Empire do it, but Kinguin have faced it and had it happen to them. So maybe, even if they get Mega, they won't give up. Because, I mean, we know what to do, guys. Just give OD a rapier and we'll win the game somehow.
They know it's going to happen.
Easy.
What did you think of Empire State yesterday?
So I think the second series was very kind of complete 180 from the first series, which was decided about like, oh, who played better, who had the stronger performance in the game.
Yeah.
I thought the second series was all decided by draft.
Okay.
So in the first game where Newbie lost, I think they got blindsided by the Enchantress offlane, which in China is just not a thing.
Right, right.
The Bounty Hunter by Yoku played absolutely amazingly.
Yeah.
And after they banned the game 2, game 3, they banned out Enchantress, they banned out Bounty Hunter. And Empire just kind of looked flat from that point on.
Yeah, I think you're right, Luna.
Faith also drafted very smartly with, I think one of the games we showed a Weaver which baited in the Void pick, and then they're like, oh yeah, we'll move the Weaver to a 4.
Yes.
Let's get an Axe. So to me, that was very much so decided by the draft.
Yeah, that Weaver Axe actually really changed things around.
Yeah,
he
it
just
really
stood
did.
outside the corner like anytime you like. It just,
Yeah.
it was really smart.
The Void went from like, oh, he's going to be a big factor in this game to a big liability just from the draft. So I wonder what kind of series it's going to be. One where it's going to be determined by draft or play.
I mean, sorry, Sheeps, go ahead.
Okay.
I was going to say, we know that Kinguin liked Lycan, right?
Yes.
And they like that kind of early push, and they definitely tried to do that. And they did it. They actually did it successfully.
Yeah.
They just couldn't close out the deal. I think the issue was having Lycan and LD.
Yeah.
I think if they'd had the Lycan and not the LD, because the problem is, like once all the buildings are gone, the power of those two is kind of like diminished. And they just couldn't fight into the power of the OD. But yeah, it was a tricky one.
You're right.
They'll figure it out.
I'm just curious. Yesterday, obviously, after that first loss against Empire, Newbie banned out Enchantress and Bounty Hunter in the rest of the games, even the games that weren't against Empire anymore, like they were just scarred.
Yeah, they were just, we're done with these heroes.
Yeah.
Get rid of them.
I'm curious if Kinguin is going to follow the suit, if they're going to do the same thing here.
Well, what do you ban? I mean, what do you ban of newbies? Like, obviously, you know that they like, what is it, Disruptor Sand King is like their go-to starting 2, right?
Yep.
So you'd probably ban one of those 2, but I mean, Newbie have watched the other games, and also, you know, everybody likes this Naga Siren pick and tricky to play around. I don't know if Empire are going to go for a fast early team, lots of fighting. Newbie know how to play around that. They're both good teams, honestly, but I just kind of thought Empire showed so much in that first game against Newbie that I do think they could beat Kinguin.
Yeah, and I agree as well because, well, first of all, they have only played one series against each other so far, and there was a 2-0 in favor of Empire. It was in October, though, so that was a while back.
Yeah.
But I also think that first game, it just showed them, like against Newbie that Empire had.
Showed them at their best.
It showed them at their best. It showed them being so fast. And Kinguin yesterday was a little bit greedy, and I felt like maybe Mineski allowed them to be a little bit greedy because they were greedy themselves as well.
Yep.
I don't think that is something that Empire is going to let happen. I think that Empire is going to be too fast for Kinguin here as well.
I definitely could get behind that point because Mineski played these like really slow strategy. They had a TIE Hunter. They had a Death Prophet, and you know they're going to be strong when they're fighting, but they can only do so once every 2 minutes or something like that. Whereas I think generally Empire draft these heroes that are very low cooldown based, so the fighting is going to come all the time. With the whole Enchantress bounty point, though, I think Enchantress offlane is very heavily played, at least in the European region, so maybe Kinguin is a lot more prepared against that strategy. They might not feel the need to ban it out, or they feel like other heroes are more important.
I would imagine that even though these two teams have only faced each other once so far, that they know each other way better than any of the other teams here, purely because they're playing in the same type of qualifier pools, if you will. It's obviously CIS and Europe, but there's some overlap there in terms of scrimming partners as well. But I always feel that if you're playing in this qualifier pool, for example, of Europe, you know, the same kind of meta evolves. There's like a meta evolves that in the specific region, and there is some overlap with CIS. Other regions will have their own meta style evolving. So, yeah, in that regard, I feel like these two teams will be fairly close.
Maybe apart from LGD and Newbie. Knowing each other better.
Yeah.
That's true, that's true.
I got a
but
question
they also
for you.
play in the same region, so there's the same theory.
I got a question for you, Sheeps.
Yeah.
There was a qualifier for this, wasn't there?
Yes, there was.
So why is it called the Invitational?
Because Newbie and Liquid were invited.
I got you. Okay.
And I believe the first iteration of this, because obviously StarLadder started out as a league.
Right.
And the first iteration of this was actually an invitational.
Ah, I got you.
And then that crummy company Valve decided to change rules.
Yes, they decided that everybody had to have qualifiers for all the regions, so now they have to do that as well. But they're still two invited teams. And better yet, they invited correctly because those two invited teams are already sitting comfortably in the semifinals for the playoffs tomorrow.
It wasn't a tricky one. It wasn't a tricky one. TO champion and runner-up.
It was a very tricky choice, and StarLadder made the correct choice.
They did. Well done, StarLadder.
Well done.
Props where they're due.
Yes, exactly.
On the note of the qualifiers, I do appreciate it because it gives teams like Kinguin and Empire a chance to compete. You know?
Yeah, I think it's also just more experience for a lot of these teams.
Yeah.
A lot of the teams that maybe didn't make it, you know, they got to play in a qualifier. They're playing against teams that are better than them. You must learn so much. I mean, we listen, you know, Complexity is saying they're watching replays of the games. Everybody wants to watch the replays of the games against teams that are better than them or teams that outplayed them. So that's the only way you learn.
And it's the only chance they have to experience playing against other region teams.
Yep.
You know, you can only go to LAN and experience what the Chinese playstyle is, and you know all these teams are working towards TI. You got to know what you're dealing with.
Absolutely.
Don't forget about the money. I know.
And the money.
And the money.
All of us sitting here are overflowing with esport dollars, but you know.
Overflowing.
There's all millionaires
I
out
wish
there.
I was overflowing with
much.
money.
But you know, some of these teams need the money more than others.
That's true. Yep. Especially the smaller teams, they need that money to keep going. Easy to forget that. Some of these teams sitting on the big sponsorships and big contracts and all the rest of it, but a lot of them they need that money to justify probably to their parents and or spouses / girlfriends, boyfriends.
Yeah, I do believe that even if you come 8th,
cheddar.
then you still get some money, by the way.
It matters.
Yeah.
It absolutely
It
matters.
matters.
And you know, your Wikipedia page has less shame. You've got some cash on the page.
Fair enough.
You can link it on your Tinder page.
Exactly.
Actually, at this point, like we've been in so many events where the numbers are so big. At a certain point, I feel like there's like monopoly money. They're just like, you know, here's 300K, here's 500K.
Yeah, it is nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's not just for the money, it's also for the points. You got
For
to
the
get
points,
some
gotta get
qualifying
those points. Yeah. How
Yeah.
many do you need? Does anybody know, or are we
There-
just,
there's
stacking
been
up
no,
points?
there's
I
been
think
a lot
somebody
of
did a math. I
calculations.
think
Someone did it.
6,000 is guaranteed. I want to
Yeah.
say. That the 6,000 number might be incorrect,
But it might also be a lot lower. It will probably be a lot lower.
Yeah.
But the 6,000 was like minimum.
absolute guaranteed.
The absolute
Okay.
guaranteed. But
or
there's
you could
still
just
so
trade
much.
a player from VP and get
Yeah,
yourself in
you can just
as well.
get a Virtus Pro player
it's
in your top
cheeky,
5.
but possible.
Yep.
Easy. I mean, that's got to be very interesting as well as the season
draft.
progresses. But it is indeed drafting time. Kinguin will be on the Dire side, Empire on the Radiant side. And Empire start by banning out the Brewmaster. I'm still curious if Kinguin is gonna leave Enchantress or Bounty Hunter in the pool so far. I mean, Naga Siren first ban.
There's the Ench
There's
ban.
Enchantress. I guess nothing surprising so far then.
No, I mean, you were saying Bane's win rate isn't great,
It's horrible.
but you still don't really want to have to play against it. It is still annoying.
Yeah,
And you never know. You don't want to be that team that loses to it.
true.
The shame ban.
A shame ban, not a respect ban.
The shame ban.
Was it gonna be a Bounty Hunter or anything else? Empire will have first pick.
Yeah,
Obviously,
so a lot of the other heroes not in the bounty spot would be like Night Stalker,
Night
Omni
Stalker,
Knight,
Tiny, Omni Knight.
Razor. So you know
Yeah,
they're picking their poison here.
and it will be the Night Stalker
Night
as you
Stalker.
mentioned.
Well, it does leave Disruptor and Sand King still
Disruptor,
knocking
Sand
around. Two
King,
good
Tiny,
heroes.
Omni Knight, Razor. Something like that.
Yep.
The high profile picks. You'd think that the first pick is always very well thought out, and you know the teams normally have a ranking. Like if I have first pick,
We get X.
I'll get that hero. But it took a while for them to
I guess
still
they
go for
kind
the
of have to
Tiny.
look at what's been banned and think, are we still happy with this? But yeah, most of them have, like, most of the captains have like a sheet.
Yeah.
I remember PPD always had that. I think Kuro, maybe I've seen him with one as well. Didn't Miracle have the sheet the other day
Yeah,
when
that
they were
booklet.
playing?
Miracle
Yeah, the
had a
book.
sheet for sure.
It's just like just a guide. I mean, just it's a lot to keep in your mind. Otherwise, there's so many possibilities. Go straight for the Tide pick. Seen that be pretty successful. Very good offlaner. Gives you just a great spell to play around. And he's just a pain in the ass. Shadow Shaman. I like Shadow Shaman because, like, apart from his spells just being good, I think the thing with the wards is if you really just need to do some pushing, you know that at least you get the wards down, you're likely to get an objective or force the enemy team to come at you. They have to deal with the wards, otherwise they're going to lose a tower, so maybe they come forward, you've got the Ravage to back you up. I like the wards. They kind of force your hand, or they maybe guarantee you get something if the fight's going badly.
Kinguin really likes to run it with Lycan quite a bit, Shadow Shaman Lycan. So it kind of doubles down the push that you're mentioning.
They love Lycan. Yeah,
Yeah.
we've seen him play them a lot, play the Lycan, so it's a great semi-success.
I'm fully expecting Empire to ban it out. Because the other thing that's really nice with Shaman is that Lycan takes Rosto very fast, and you progress towards that Refresher Shard, which pretty much, well,
Huge on
if you
Shaman,
don't forget
yeah.
to pick it up, Pretty much guarantees a laner Rax.
What was that?
No, because they were getting their bot Rax push. We were hearing them talking about it. They panicked. They poured it. And they're like, they wouldn't know that we didn't pick it up. Kyle only TB'd in. I was like, oh, shoot. They just took a shard.
That was funny. Tinker ban. Yeah, Nyx does love that Tinker. I think that's a smart ban.
Yeah.
I think they definitely should ban the Lycan, but we've also seen the Kinguin can run Lone Druid, and I think that's a good one as well to go for if they can't get the Lycan. But yeah, there's the Lycan ban. I would say I would be reluctant to see them run them both again, although it would be stupid to say that because they did push Mineski to the point where they took all their buildings.
I mean, that was really supposed to be their game. But yeah.
What do you think Empire are going to look for with the tiny disruptor? I think Sand King could be a hero here, depending on where they run the tiny.
Okay, yeah, Sand King could be decent. You know, we haven't seen Clockwork at all as a position for in this event.
We've seen him banned a couple of times, but that's about it.
We definitely don't know. We did see him once.
Oh, we saw it with the puck. Remember that?
Yeah.
Complexity played it, but that's
Razor ban.
I mean, they still lost, so
yeah, they did. I mean, you know, I love Clock, but like Cap says, those kill heroes in the offlane are kind of a dying breed in this current patch. You kind of just need heroes that are steady eddies and then let you team fight, and that's how they catch up. Or that can push waves real fast, like Underlord. Tide's pretty self-sufficient. Whereas Clock, you want to be jumping people, and it's just, you don't get much of a chance because it's hard to get a pick off. You know, everybody's grouped up so much. So they banned the Lycan and the Lone Druid. So now Kinguin are like, well, those are two of our favorite dudes. We're going to have to go for...
if they want to keep doing the pushing strategy that they've been doing, Death Prophet is kind of a pretty go-to. We've seen many teams combine it with the TIE Hunter.
Yep. I mean, like you were talking about them having cooldowns to play around Lumi, but it seems to work pretty well, honestly. You just have to be careful when you pick your fights.
Dragonite is another popular
possibly.
one.
Yep, DK. I think it's especially good for Kinguin because the Naga not being there means that they're not just going to get, you know, if they get a good start to a fight, it's not just going to be put on pause, and the setup for the Disruptor ult isn't going to be there as easily as it is with the Naga. So I think it's nice that she's banned. They could definitely play around that, the DP Tide.
I think yesterday on the panel I said, oh, I'm glad to see Naga coming back.
Oh, really?
And then after 2 days of it, I'm done. I'm done with that sentiment.
I'm done as well,
That's enough Naga for a while.
Naga has also not been very successful, though.
Really?
Yeah, 16% win rate with 6 games played.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Only 1 win.
Turns out not everyone could play like newbie.
Yeah.
That's a shocker.
You know what? I think that's a big part of these win rates is teams trying to copy the teams that are better than them and saying like, well, look, geez, if it can work for newbie, it can work for us. Well, not necessarily.
Hey!
Oh my lord!
Speak of the devil.
We could also see an SF pick to follow up with that.
Yep.
It does obviously you can farm the cogs early on to get a few Necromastery dudes in.
So I think it's really hard to have a Clockwork to fight into a TIE Hunter because just because you hook in, they could always counter initiate with Ravage, but vice versa, when you have them both together, you just create so much chaos. It kind of compounds it. The two of them makes it better than the sum of their part, or whatever that phrase is.
The sum of the whole is better than the sum of the parts.
Yes.
Something like that. There's the SF.
And
so they're like, it's a block pick, but I also think it's just a good hero. You know what I will say is the Clockwork, it's not great because Disruptor can kind of glimpse him away again if he hooks in. Which is kind of annoying.
You can, like, if you're tiny, you can toss the Clockwork out of his cogs as well.
Yeah,
you're still in the cog, though.
Yeah, but at least you no longer have to deal with
if SF needs a couple of souls, free souls.
There you go, free souls.
You want the cogs.
So Clockwork's actually a pretty good hero against Shadow Fiend, at least in the laning phase. Once you get the wrap around him, Shadow Fiend's going to have a lot of issue.
What do Kinguin pick here to go with? The roaming clock, SS combo. They need a hero, I think a carried, like a ranged carry maybe to be able to zone out whatever the offlane is going to be for Empire, presumably Tiny. Viper, okay.
Viper.
Cap delighted with that pick.
Exciting hero.
I hate Viper. I absolutely hate Viper.
This used to be like a unwinnable matchup for Shadow Fiend, but over the years, players have gotten much better. I do believe, though, with the weaker nerf Shadow Fiend, the Necro Mastery, and with the Clockwork rotation, this should be a pretty easy Viper lane.
We'll see, my friend.
Yeah. The mid game, I was going to say the corrosive haze, or corrosive goo thing that he plops out. It's going to be pretty nice with the Clockwork Hogs.
Yeah, that's true. So, if he breaks the SF, right?
Yep.
Your passives are removed.
Okay.
Does that mean that while he's standing in the goop, he doesn't get his souls?
I don't
does
think
it just affect presence?
It affects the presence, guaranteed.
Yeah.
I don't think he loses damage, but he might not be able to, let's say, acquire more damage.
Yeah.
It's a little bit weird with different passives. That one I'm not 100% sure on.
Lumi, where do you think that Tiny is going to lane? Is he going to be, because we've seen Tiny on the off lane as well, is he going to be safe lane or off lane, you think?
I think right now he could do both. I don't think they want to have him in the Tides lane, though, because I think that's a little bit rough for him. And Rubik is actually a beautiful pick here because it does a couple of things. First, you have some nice ultimates to steal from Tide, Shadow Shaman, and Viper. But secondly, if you get Corrosive Haze, or the goo plop thing from Viper, you break Viper, thus by removing his passive. So
also, like, Shackles is one of the easiest spells in the game to steal.
Sure.
Wards is pretty easy to steal.
Yeah.
Ravage, potentially, although it is tricky.
There's no bad spells to steal from Shadow Shaman, you're absolutely right. Even Ether Shock is useful.
Yeah.
Doom is the last ban there. That basically says that Kinguin is thinking Empire is looking for a solo laner, be that solo safe lane, solo off lane.
I mean, I think the Tiny pick is nice first because you can bump him into the off lane if you need to.
Yeah.
And I wonder how like a Tiny Disruptor lane or a Tiny Rubik lane lift them to Tiny. He tosses them back under the tower. If they try to run away, you glimpse them back. You could go aggro try with the Tiny Disruptor Rubik.
Hey, by the way,
something 1v1 against the Tide.
Rubik,
the Razor ban is kind of an issue. Sorry.
Sorry. Rubik has a 100% win rate.
He's a great hero, man. I mean, I know my friend Cynical Soapbox hates him, but he calls him Losebick. But I'm telling you, he's a good hero.
It's a win pick at the moment.
Definitely a very hard hero to play in lower skill games. But a great one when the player knows what's up. As we saw from Zefric.
Oh, man. I said to him in the break room, I said, oh, mate, some fantastic plays. And he went, thanks. Like he was like, your praise means nothing to me, mortal.
No, he is very modest.
Yeah.
And sometimes it feels like, you know, I don't believe the praise. It's like, I was just playing a game. Anybody could have done it type of attitude.
The humble brag. Actually, that's not a humble brag. That's just humble.
That's just being humble.
Just super humble. Just super
humble. Just the old humble non-brag.
Yep. All right, one more ban from Empire. It will be Kinguin that has the last pick in this one.
Faceless Void. I don't know about that one.
No.
Because what Kinguin really needs right now is another hero that could power in the damage. Tide doesn't do that much. Shadow Shaman, Clockwork, these are more control-oriented hero. Viper could do a decent amount, but only if he's farmed.
It takes a while.
Right, we needed a last pick that was going to right-click pretty hard.
Especially when you look at the burst damage that SF Tiny has. That's a lot.
Yep.
How greedy can Kinguin be?
What do you mean?
With their last core pick?
I don't think...
So it is a core Tiny. It's a Posi 1 Tiny.
They need hero that could hit right now.
Yeah, they need some hitting.
All right. Juggernaut's a hitter.
That's good. Can spin and remove the sticky, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Lumi, you're up first. What is the most important thing for Empire this game? What do they need to do?
For Team Empire.
For Empire.
Yeah, make sure they... this is going to apply for both. Make sure that the mid lane's won, I think, for both teams. I feel like the mid lane's going to determine a lot of the damage output, a lot of the item progression for both of the teams. Shadow Fiend and Viper needs to have a great game.
Okay. Anything you want to add to that, Ted?
Get the Jug big. I mean, like, Jug absolutely is. I think he's a fantastic carry. I I don't honestly understand why we haven't seen more of him. I think he's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And he's very fast, moves around the map incredibly quickly with the changes to the way stats and move speed and everything like that work. I think he's brilliant. So just get the Jug what he needs. And like Lumi said, you've got to win mid. That's vital. Yeah.
Focus on mid, get the Jug big. Let's find out what will happen in game 1 of Kinguin versus Empire with Capitalist and Blitz.
The climb to the top for many of these Tier 3 and Tier 2 teams. They have to climb over many of their other comrades. Here we're going to see Kinguin facing up against Empire. I would say 2 teams that are very solidified in that Tier 2 area. Empire is considered probably the 3rd best CIS team behind VP as well as Na'Vi. And then you've got Kinguin, who have had a tougher time winning those early qualifiers against Secret. A tough opponent in OG in there as well. And routinely losing against Penta. Both teams really need to be able to prove themselves here and not get knocked out on the first elimination day here at StarLadder.
Hey, nobody knows how good Na'Vi or VP are yet. So Empire might have just default climbed to the top, baby.
That is true. They both experienced a roster change of sorts. You have anything to say about that? Any thoughts? Roger for VP and then Lil on Na'Vi. And apparently maybe another roster change besides that.
I don't know if they do too. That's the thing, though. When I said, like, Na'Vi, they wouldn't be pleased with their results. And everyone told me I was crazy. It's like, of course they wouldn't. They want to... You're not competing. I saw, like, that EG documentary thing, and they said, like, we're okay, but we're not good enough to compete against Liquid and Secret. And they didn't mention Newbie, but... Newbie, for that matter.
Yeah.
They didn't mention VP because they're, like, 11-0 against VP. But, like, when you're a competitive team, you want to be, like, near the top. I think that these 2 teams, though, like out of all the, whatever you want to call it, Tier 2, Tier 3 teams, like I have a very distinct thing for it. Like Tier 1 is the top 4 teams, Tier 2 is everybody else, and Tier 3 are the ones that are like trying to get into tournaments
barely even getting qualifiers. Yeah,
it's like out of all the Tier 2, Tier 3 teams, I think Kinguin is very promising. I feel like I
agree.
They're pretty consistent. They've got a play style that they figured out, and I think Empire shows a lot more promise because I think this Nyx guy is quite good. And I think Yoku on the 4 is pretty beastly, too. Yeah,
Yoku, we both had a lot of praise to give him in the last series that we casted for them. Unfortunately, it wasn't quite good enough for them to actually beat out Newbie. But at least they took the game.
Oh, Ghost Stick, look at that. As soon as I give him praise, immediately he steals the rune.
It's like the opposite of the caster's curse. So Empire pick up 3 runes.
We were in their team bus yesterday.
Yep.
When they were leaving. Everything sounded very calm.
Yeah, they were... I noticed that everyone had a voice.
Yeah.
There was one person who was talking quite a bit. I only saw the back of his head, so I'm not sure who it was. But it felt like we were actually... I saw FN talking quite a bit. I know Yoku got his say in. So it seemed like they kind of valued everyone's input into the game, I could say.
And I talked to Rezo after their run, and he said, like, this team is very talented. They just need to kind of, like, figure it out.
Yeah.
Because I thought personally, like I've everyone in high MMRU pubs has run into FN before.
Yes.
And pub personalities are different. Everyone's kind of obnoxious in pubs.
He's known as a rager, flamer, and.
But like when he was in that team talk, he was like very calm. I don't know what I expected.
Yeah.
I believed into the hype of maybe he'd be like a jerk to his teammates, but he was super nice. Kept us cool.
And that's the same thing with VP, right? Patos.
Oh, that is a lot.
Wow.
Yeah, me too.
We both thought he was going to get out.
He
even had a tree toss, though. So even if that one right click didn't finish, he would have tossed the tree. That might have finished him off as well. Ghostic does get a successful pull behind the wave, and it looks like Exotic Deer ends up going down. We had our panel talk a lot about being able to win the mid lane. And we're already seeing that Empire are putting some serious effort into that, making sure that FN does well as the SF up against the Viper. You do need some extra assistance as the SF in this matchup, right?
Oh, for sure. I think that... So it seems like everyone's counter nowadays is the Viper to the Shadow Fiend. And it's been the counter for quite some time. The past, like, 4 years or something, no matter like how Viper's changed or how SF changed. That seems to just be the straight-up counter.
Yep.
And
Katsu does pick up a haste rune.
This Disruptor's getting a lot of levels right now.
He's going to be caught, though. Haste rune finally does catch him. Katsu actually thinks about running backwards there, and it's going to be met with a tiny now, so has to run himself away.
Yeah, I really like that Nyx made his way over. Skip the creep wave to help his homie. And if he had made it inside the cogs, might have even killed Katsura, but that is a very, like, he's almost level 3 already at 2 minutes. You're not sad about that.
I would say the one downside here for Kinguin with their Viper matchup is I don't feel like they have a 4 position. It really helps out in that mid lane. Earlier, I think at ESL 1 Genting, we were seeing the Viper Tusk duo, and that just seemed to be super strong against these SF mid. Here, I feel like Clockwork is less likely to have that kind of big impact.
What was that, like Na'Vi versus Liquid?
Yeah, I think so.
Nyx, though, he's doing pretty well. He's got 12 CS, not at the tops. That distinction belongs to the Juggernaut.
Yeah, Jug's having a total free lane. It seems Ghostic's not able to do a whole lot about that. But Poshka does manage to get a pull-off, though.
When you play these 4 positions, though, you want kill potential.
Yeah.
Like, the worst thing in the world is you play 4 position and you don't enable your 4 positions game. Like, that's when I know your draft is kind of, like, off or something.
Raise 1, 2, 3, lands them all. Fortunately, Exotic Deer is tanky enough that he survives.
When you play Clockwork and you don't have a kill lane, it feels really bad.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to go top because you can naturally Firefly out of the cogs. Mid's not easy because you know that the Rubik's camping there, and Rubik's one of the best heroes at dealing with the Clockwork because you can always lift him outside of the cogs. And this bottom lane, because the Rubik, he's like halfway standing. He's like halfway in between mid, halfway in between bottom. It makes it very annoying for him to play this. As Yoku gonna...
Maximum efficiency. Oh, no.
Not like this.
I thought he was going to zap him, telekinesis,
yeah.
pick up the regen rune, and it was going to be this free harassment.
Maybe he just wasn't watching.
Instead, he doesn't even get it. Must have been looking at mid lane. Oh, Patos is quite low. Looks like they do catch him inside the kinetic field. He goes for the gush, but doesn't have enough for the anchor smash. Looks like Nyx is able to finish him off.
They want to gank mid right now.
They really do so badly. Look at Shadow Shaman. He's wrapping all the way around behind. He's got to be smoked up. And this feels like a desperation. Like, was he not smoked up? Did he just make that play during nighttime? That's baller.
No, I think he had to have been smoked up. He passed through the creep wave. And you don't place that ward there if you're not smoked. They're pinging right now, though. But, so I was saying, like, the downside of Clockwork is when he was originally buffed, he felt very nice because the mid-hero pool, it was very easy for him to kill. But when you play against these, like, Queen of Pains and stuff, and when you feel like you're playing against dual lanes, your options are a little bit more limited when you don't have these kill combos. Him not being able to go to any of the 3 lanes, like, makes him feel quite bad. Because what are you supposed to do as a Clockwork? Especially as a 4 position in this meta, you want to be as active as possible on the map. When you can't get active, you can't really enable your lanes. Like, you're the hero that's supposed to win 3 lanes for your team.
Yeah.
One of the 3 lanes, and he hasn't been able to do any of that. Which is why he's going to this bottom lane, because he feels like he can kill the Disruptor.
Kill something, and that's going to be Disruptor. He's going to be caught inside the cogs. Miposhka needs to find a way out of this one. Does get a successful glimpse. Patos wants to be able to finish him off here with the help of El Lisash. They should be able to. El Lisash is going to be able to get that kill. Patos, though, is going to die as Yoku comes in to be able to provide some assistance. Now the pullback. Nyx is going to lay some damage onto Katsura. Will be able to finish him off. And El Lisash, who tries to get the shackle in time, is a little bit late. And now he's going to be caught as well. Oh, maybe not. Looks like with the boots on the Shadow Shaman, just enough to stay ahead of Nyx. And is not going to get tossed back to his doom, which is what Nyx was hoping for.
But look at this. Like, you have to make such a forced move just to do anything.
Yeah.
Katsura doesn't feel good right now. They wanted to take away the Clockwork because they assumed that they would do Clockwork SF. But it puts you in a position where you can't kill any of the 3 lanes. And when you do kill, it's such a hard commitment. Because Patos doesn't really want to make that play.
No.
You're a Tide Hunter. You're not really providing too much. He ends up going down. Like, you can't really afford to die this many times. And the opportunity cost isn't even very high, because the Tiny has quite a bit.
In your opinion, has this been a common downside for Kinguin? Do you think that they lost to Mineski in part because of their draft?
I think that Game 2 they almost certainly should have won.
Yep. But Game 1 I felt was draft-based.
Yeah, Game 1 was definitely draft-based. I mean, most of these teams, when they lose, it's going to be draft-related.
Do you think that determines a majority of wins right now?
Oh, 100%. Draft is...
Do you think it's more important than it's ever been?
Actually, I think like 2 months ago was even more important. Nowadays, I feel like the best draft doesn't always win.
Patos going to be caught once again here. Does manage to get the anchor smash before a lot of this damage, so he might be able to escape. Katsura is going to be able to help him out here. Throws down a Cogs. And Exotic Deer is here as well, but Telekinesis stops him in his tracks.
I really want to point out what Nyx is doing, by the way. As a one position, he's consistently protecting his supports.
Yeah, and he's even going for the kill on Patos right now. He does manage to grab it, and Exotic Deer is not level 6, so this kill on Nyx is not going to be so easy. Instead, they're going to get Miposhka, but this is a worthy trade-off for Empire. They pull the mid away from his lane, pull a bunch of supports there.
Nisha has a lot of stacks on him. He's
nice.
Gonna spin, though.
He got the spin off just before, so he's not going to take a whole bunch of magic damage here. Should be able to just TP out barely
Very
ahead
close.
of that second raise, but gets it. That was some pretty clutch timing there.
You see the difference right now, though? Yoku already has Arcanes.
Yeah. Now, what Empire have done, running Rubik and Disruptor, we actually don't see a whole lot of. Maybe it was just recent, like Complexity just ran a 4-position Rubik, but it seems like to me that teams are prioritizing a lot of these 4 positions, that Clockwork and Earth Spirit, these kind of heroes that really roam in. Why aren't we seeing more of the kind of double range supports?
I mean, it depends on the lineup. Like, I think Rubik is a very strong hero right now because of the prevalence of the playmaking 3. When you consistently play against these like Tide Hunters, it feels
Omni
amazing,
Knight.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Omni Knight especially. Then you feel very comfortable taking him as a first 2, and you can use him as a flex, where you can pick him as a 4 or a 5, as Patos is.
Chuck the tree!
Oh, nice.
Not enough.
But
yeah, I guess there's not too many, maybe Bat Rider, maybe Legion. There's not too many offlaners that I think like, oh, Rubik is unhappy with the spells he's going to be stealing there.
Yeah. I think that the null field is also very nice. The
Okay.
null field is something that we don't talk about enough either.
Sure.
I like Rubik as a hero. I feel very comfortable if I'm a drafter and I'm taking him first 2. So you're not sad about that. Like, you do well in lanes. Your team fight potential is very high. I think Secret was onto something when they would just first 2 it all the time.
Grab the Juggernaut. Trying to go for the Telekinesis. Looks like he may have thrown it a little bit early there.
Oh, they stacked that for sure.
Yeah, but I think it's near impossible on Lasso. Toss forward, but there is Elisash to be able to slow down the Bat Rider. Because he's going to spin the moment the Lasso ends, but if you Telekinesis during the Lasso, it kills the Telekinesis.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much a... You're never going to win that. Maybe if you grab the creep, tossed it at the Jug while he was lassoed. Maybe that was the play.
I think this active style of carry, though, I like it. He's just moving around the map, trying to get kills set up for his team. It reminds me of like what Crystallize did for Na'Vi. Like Crystallize sped up the game for Na'Vi a lot.
Yeah.
As FN's going to get run into, he was really quick on that.
Oh no, they didn't get the slow off from Exotic Deer. They're finally going to catch him, though. Jesus. He was so fast. Almost made it out thanks to his drums, but there's just one too many heroes surrounding his mid lane. It looks like Kinguin are going to go for a push off of that. At the same time, Nyx does manage to kill the Clockwork, though. As you said, very active carry. We're seeing that out of Nyx. We're seeing that out of her Juggernaut. Both of them are trying to play pretty active and moving around the map.
Yeah, what in the world was that? Like, he expected the first 3. He's like, juked you all. Then
Well, the funny part is he should have seen the Shadow Shaman, too.
Yeah.
Because he his smoke popped on the rotation behind the Tier 1.
Oh, that's a very nice Blink Dagger timing. Everyone is liable to die now. You can even kill the Jug if you're somewhat fast. Jug's pretty low. Nisha playing at 600 health. If he's not careful and he's targeted inside of it, he will go down. As he's going to go to the lane, Nyx. You got to get him with both, though.
Huge opportunity.
Here we go.
Lead. Oh,
very
Nyx is just too fast. He got it before the lasso grab. He gets it here before the avalanche.
Very quick.
There's a reason we, I think a lot of people talked about Nisha kind of being the best player on Kinguin. Very high skill, very high potential in this young player.
I remember in like Dota 1 or when Dota started that those plays would be so hype, but now everyone makes them.
Yeah.
Everyone's so good and fast. It was like the advent of like when you used to play against S4 Puck mid and he would just dodge anything.
Everything.
Yeah, and it's just obnoxious to play against. Then you realize everyone can do it now. And the skill cap in Dota has just been raised every year.
Viper Strike stolen by the Rubik.
Did you ever play Dota 1?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's like Dota 1, a lot. If you watch the old compilation videos, I remember I used to get so hyped. Those. And now they're just like the most basic things.
I remember the big like Merlini Zeus play, that one video.
Oh, triple race?
Yep, they're going to be able to grab him pretty easily here.
Very nice.
I remember looking at that play when I was playing in Han, going back and looking at that video, and I was like, that's not that impressive.
I mean, it was different times. Like,
yeah, exactly. It was different times, so it was a really clutch play back then.
Yeah, back then it was like if you would dodge Stormhammer's Storm Spirit, you were considered like, that was a boss move. That was getting into a, was it like a Woe Dota? You know, like a We Are Electric.
We Are Electric.
Back then, that was a, if you did that. Nowadays, like everyone does. Oh, pull
Static
back.
Storm onto the Tidehunter.
Easy. Whew. Pato says, oh man.
He's having a rough game. So is the rest of Kinguin, honestly.
5,000
gold lead right now by Empire. They're going to find Katsur. Couldn't even get his level 6. He's trying to farm neutrals with the clockwork. That's how you know the game has gone terribly, terribly wrong for you.
That's kind of why I wanted to point out like the prevalence of like what he's doing as a 4 position in this game. I was going to make a video about it, but I didn't know how interesting that'd be because I think it's so cool nowadays. Like your 4 position has to do something for the laning phase, and a lot of it depends on like the kind of 4 position you are and what you're playing against. Yeah, I think that's so cool because you look at this Rubik, he's very enabled because he can go around the map and get kills for his team. You lift, you're gonna lift him in a triple raise. Whereas like the Clockwork, he's gonna run very slowly at you mid. There's natural counters to him everywhere. There's very forced maneuvers at all times for this hero in this game, and this is why like laning phase wise they suffered so much. And why Empire was able to play the way they did. And
this is also why we don't see a whole lot of Clockwork being like 3rd picked up now. Like that was definitely a difference in drafting when I saw Kinguin go for that.
Yeah, that's why like Earth Spirit's always safe, right? Because if you're Earth Spirit, you have a stun and a silence, so you always feel good. Your ulti's very nice.
A gap closing slow.
Yeah, up at
Hook
top.
Shot does manage to grab the SF here, but he already has that force, so he's going to be able to get out of the cogs. Well, all right, he's already going to pull it back with the glimpse there. A little bit late, though.
They got to be careful.
That was weird.
Yeah, especially with the healing ward down.
Yeah.
That was a little
But Poshka does have his Static Storm. He's going to lay it down now, already on the slash, but he puts the Juggernaut inside, so maybe they can still kill him with a Viper Strike down, but the Ravage managed to catch all of them. He gets off the spin. The Juggernaut will live, and FN will end up dying underneath the wards.
Very weird decision-making by Empire.
Funky stuff, man. Funky stuff.
Yeah, they decided to go in 1 by 1. They didn't have to take that fight. That was quite good for them. Like, you allow your Tiny to push out bottom. I think you give up that tower, but instead they lose the Shadow Field on top of that. His Ghost Scepter, or his Force Staff was already on cooldown. Like, just felt like that was unnecessary. That was the first reveal of the Tide Ravage, and the Tide is still far behind. And make no mistake about it, as a Tidehunter, you really hate being behind. Like this, Bulba used to tell us, like this hero needs to farm. Yeah. You want to be up there in net worth. Otherwise, you're a Ravage and that's it. Like you can't tank, you don't provide any other utility, and you never want these 3 position heroes like Enigma or Tidehunter to just solely be useful for your ult.
We're seeing that reflected in the builds coming out from these Tidehunters as well, right? They're not going Arcane Boots Blink. They're going Phase Boots into Pipe. Right, so they can tank, they can go ahead and gush people and right-click them. They're not just a 1-button Ravage. They're going to sit on the front lines and do a numerous amount of things.
Yeah, for sure. I really hate the Tidehunters that just say like, oh, well, I have Ravage. It'll be fine. Well, your Ravage only comes off like, you're going to only have impact then every 2.5 minutes. And if you don't have impact with your Ravage, then your entire game is kind of blown up.
4-man smoke up here from Empire. Last engagement that they took was a bit bunk up there at the tier 1, but this time they're the aggressors. Unfortunately, they've already been scouted out by Kinguin. Good read off of that push. No one's really showing on the map, so they made a successful read and are going to evade this gank, it seems.
Yeah, I think the giant fire on the ground.
Trees just falling over for no reason.
That's random. Who knows where that came from?
We no longer have those special effects, right? When the game goes super late.
Oh, when everything's breaking?
Like, yeah, everything
I kind of like
down.
that.
Yeah, that was always really cool. Just like fire dropping from nowhere.
Does Rubik still have the Omni Slash? I know he stole it.
Yeah, he still has it.
He really wants to use it.
Jug is a pretty good hero to use it on. Force that forward, does manage to grab him. Great use by FN. There to go and throw down the end ultimate. He does have Omni Slash, but it wouldn't get him a kill anyway, so.
Oh, it's running out. At least ulti creeps. You'll get him.
That is true. He has so much mana. Man, he is farmed to hell. He's got Arcane Boots plus the staff, so he's sitting on 1,000 mana.
He's almost got a 4-staff too.
That is...
He's very farmed.
That feels great. If you're Rubik,
yeah,
just
if you're
got mana to
Clockwork,
burn. You just...
And they've got 2 4-staffs on the enemy team. You're just like, well, my impact in this game has finished.
Especially when you have the lower level Clockwork, whose hookshot only stuns very, very small duration.
Yeah.
It's hard to be able to get behind the hero and push them back with the cogs with only level 1 hook.
Yeah. The best Clockwork games are the ones where like you just go around, you have a lot of kill potential on everybody. Even when they get 4-staffs, they're delayed to the point where you have a second item.
Yeah. Like you have a 4-staff yourself, or...
Oh.
Is he going to stop the TP? He is. Yes. Going to be able to glimpse Exotic Deer. He's caught. Nothing he can do here. Just put some damage on the supports. Maybe they still get the tier 2 off the Serpent Wards.
No. Oh, they're going to glyph it and deny it.
Deny it.
Get a bunch of ward money too.
That feels the worst.
And
Katsor needs help. Patos is there to help him out.
Go for a Ghost Stick. Oh, he did. What a beast. Look at that.
He's not scared of anybody on this team.
You should. That was a 5-stacked Clockwork, and you've got Max Sticky. Like, he's going to die in 2 seconds.
There is no one on Kinguin that can do anything in this game. I'm very surprised they took Jug in this game because they have a Viper. Their lineup is good.
What else do you think they should have gone? Like,
I don't know.
I can't remember the bans. I know they banned Void, and Void's very good in lane, and maybe Chrono's somewhat useful here.
Omni Slash, that's a level 2 Omni Slash, so it is going to be enough. Bring him down with the help of the spin. But it just seems to me like if your Jug is not ahead, the game's over, right?
I'm okay with...
You're a solo core Jug.
Yeah. I hope OD Pixel, by the way, is watching, and he saw that the Jug did not take the +1 second Blade Fury duration in this game.
Who was doing that support Jug meme with me? Were you a part of that?
Was it Jack?
Yeah, it was Jack. It was definitely Jack. Support Juggernaut, Lonham style.
Jack is one of the most confusing players I've ever had the misfortune of playing Dota with. Both me and Merlini, our longest loss streaks in Dota 2, like in our history, have been coincidentally or not with Jack.
I feel like I've played a little bit more with Jack because I've gone to a few more of these Chinese events. I avoided that stack.
Yeah, I said it was miserable. Oh, at bottom, the hook comes in.
Maposhka is going to be caught here. He does have Static Storm if he wants to lay it down. Tries to go for the glimpse instead, but it's going to caught underneath the Nether Toxin from the Veno Viper guy. Caught myself there.
Accurate.
That's all they get. They get these little support pickoffs. Nothing's really changing about the game. It's still the SF and the Tiny getting bigger and bigger. And the Juggernaut's game is going to grow harder and harder for him to make that big Omni Slash play. Bring down these heroes. Meanwhile, Nyx, oh my god, that Hex did not last at all. That was a level 1 Hex that just like instantly disappeared.
Yeah, Nyx is getting gone on right now.
They don't have the Omni Slash, so it's going to be hard for them to bring him down.
Boy.
He has to actually turn and fight. Now, Patos is here
Ravage?
with the help of the Viper. They're going to go for the Ravage. It barely connects, but they don't have the counter vision to be able to see Nyx, so he's going to come back in. See if he can hunt down Nisha. They do manage to get the Static Storm with the stun on top of that, preventing the spin and bringing down the Juggernaut. Now it's up to Exotic Deer and Patos. Neither one of them do a whole lot of damage, but maybe they can slowly but surely bring down Nyx. They are going to be able to get at least that much. 1,000 gold goes to Patos for that kill, but the fight still rages on. Patos is now going to go for some of those supports, chasing them back while the Viper is dealing with the Bat Rider. Here comes FN, though, from the north. Is going to lay some serious damage onto Patos. Trapped inside the kinetic field. He can't make it out. Viper looks like he did manage to get away from the Bat Rider, so he's okay. He actually killed the Bat Rider with the help of the Shadow Shaman. But all in all, it did seem like a better fight for Empire.
Yeah. Gold. It's kind of even, though, because of how far ahead they were.
Yeah.
At that point, trading 4 for 2 is gold even, at least. And in mid.
Going to get a whole lot worse if they lose Katsor as well as Alisash here. Exotic Deer's coming over. They've already shackled up FN. Glimpse will stop that one. And Mass 4 stops is getting them away with the block from that Hellbear. That was Exotic Deer's Hellbear, yeah. Get out of the Clockwork's way.
This is the downside of when the enemy has so many 4-staffs. You don't feel like you can play the same amount of Dota. And the catch just like, it's not easy for them anymore. Because this Tidehunter's so underfarmed.
Yeah.
Same with the Viper. You saw the disable, right? Like how long it lasted, by the way?
Yeah. Instant.
Just.
It was like a mini stun.
Yeah, he was there and then he wasn't. And they give the DD to Nyx to bottle up.
Just throwing some trees around, huh?
No, I like Empire.
Yeah, they're playing really well.
Feel like they could have 2-0 newbie yesterday, too.
Yeah.
Some poor decision-making, but...
Against Kinguin, they definitely look like the superior team here.
So far. You never know. There could be... They can still get this, like, Ravage playoff. But their heroes don't naturally shove out the lanes, like, very easily. The core heroes, anyways. The Jug's got Battle Fury, but I don't know how much more farm he has than that. Like, he needs at least 2 more items to fight.
It's like 3 of their heroes are extremely dependent on just going for kills. Jug, Viper, and Clock. They are not getting any of those. Score is 18-10 with a 10,000 gold lead to the favor of Empire. Currently setting up for Roshan as well, just to secure the game a bit more.
I like that too. If you saw the way that the net worth lead went, relatively just like, whoop.
Climb.
Yeah. Moon Manager used to always complain about that when we were on DC. He'd say, why is our graph never just a straight up? Why is there always used like jagged lines? But
because we're not very consistent. Is that what it meant?
That'd be one way to describe that team. In mid though, they've got great vision. And it's actually Kinguin that are going to run in for this. And I think this is their one play that they got to make. They're behind by a lot right now, but...
Go for it. They've got the Ravage missed hook shot. That's going to be a bad start, but so is a missed Static Storm. They've already jumped in with the lasso. Looks like they are going to be able to bring down Nyx. The Bat Rider's chased away as well. Clockwork barely survives and keeps the rest of the heroes
They're going to get Roshan.
They're going to try and take this Bat Rider, and the wards are taking Roshan at the same time. Exotic Deer's the only one inside the pit. He's focusing on that objective. Nice. They just caught the SF. The Shackles last a little bit, but Kinguin have no other heroes to be able to catch him. He's too damn fast. Kinguin. Hey, they saw a small opportunity. They knew they were behind. Go for the ballsies play. They get an Aegis. They're going to get a Tier 1 tower on top of that. That may have just swung the game a little bit back in their favor.
Empire needed to get, or Miposhka had to get the Tidehunter inside of the null field. If he does, then they go for that Pele because it's the counter to Tide.
This is dangerous. Empire trying to fight this one out. 4 versus 5. FN with this Invis rune is trying to set up for a great ultimate. Patos, he's going to be targeted. He's going to walk right on top of him. FN nails it. Now Katsur is going to be caught as well by Ghostic. Elisash, he's going to be glimpsed back as well. A 4 versus 5 turns into a 4 versus 2 as Empire just ravaged the entirety of Kinguin. Great outplay there from FN.
Man, he vociferously shut that down. Ooh, the timing. He got it right.
Perfect.
Yeah, that was pixel perfect. Oh, you gotta like that. That was, whew. I was like, no, Empire, not like this.
Especially since the Ravage was still up for the Tide. You're like trying to force this fight. Like, oh, Jesus. The only way they could do that, though, is just completely bursting the Tide. Yeah.
He has a hood, too. So he actually just, got right on top of his screen. Damn. That was beast. Is FN really going to use the tome for himself? Come on, man. You are level 20 already.
Got to get to that 25.
Oh, look at that hero damage. I like... Wait, can we bring that back up? I like looking at that.
Why?
I don't know. That was cool.
What? All right.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, damn. Production on point.
Yeah. Look at the Clockwork has dealt almost
the same amount of damage as
Disruptor, yeah.
Bat Rider sitting at 9K. That's Ghostic, Beast.
Yeah, Ghostic has been the standout player for me from Empire, as well as everyone already knows about FN and all that. But Ghostic has been insane.
Ghostic was known as a Bat Rider spammer before.
Yeah.
So it's not too surprising that he's having a great performance on that hero now.
When I think of Ghostic, I think of Ancient Bat Rider.
Yeah.
His Axe yesterday was, that was such a rough time.
I mean, they picked Axe.
Yeah.
What is Ghostic going to do with that? If I'm that offlaner, I'm very unhappy with my captain.
You know that
you picked me what hero?
That picture of Universe when he sees Envy.
He's just like Kunkka.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to see. If they would show
Ghostic's reaction.
He's like, Axe?
What kind of miracles do you expect me to pull with that hero?
He had 2,000 net worth after 10 minutes. I was like, this guy does not want to play the same game that I'd want to play.
Ted actually asked me, he was like, what about Centaur? He's like, Centaur's a great hero. And I was like, he's like Axe. You saw that game yesterday, Ted? It's just like that.
Nah, it's different.
No.
Centaur gets to hit creeps with double edge. He's a cool guy.
They have the same problem. Their laning phase is garbage. They're just so easily shut out, and they have to have a good laning
Austin,
phase.
in my 3K MMR games, you'd be wrong.
That's true. In my 3K MMR, where an Oracle stands and hits me.
They fear me there. All right, so Nyx is going to invis up. He's Silver Edge, too. They want to try to burst this Tidehunter if they find him.
Yeah.
He would pretty much kill anybody.
Break that Kraken shell.
Yeah.
So now they've got two ways to deal with him. Both that and bursting him, as well as, well, jump on a Catsaur. Double initiation. Nisha pops the BKB, goes straight for FN. Is going to throw down that Omni Slash, but he's going to bounce
It's
the rest
only
of the team.
targeting
It's only
him.
hitting FN.
What?
What the hell just happened? Nisha with the godlike RNG, now spinning on top of the Disruptor, stuck inside the Static Storm. Went next to a Tiny. He may die
Did
here.
he steal it
Barely
back?
gets out, managed to get off the healing ward. Tiny doesn't kill him, and now he's going to die instead. Nisha hoping to be able to catch up to Maposhka. Gets a good kinetic field that will save his life.
Woo! All right. He needed that to go literally anywhere else. And it didn't.
Oh, if anything's going to tilt you as FN, it's going to be that play right there. Are you looking to see FN's reaction?
I mean, there was like two heroes right next to him, and yeah, sure, there's like you can splash and stuff, but that was unfortunate. That thing honed. If that determines the game, I would be baffled.
Well, 20 seconds till the SF is back up. Kinguin, again, seeing an opportunity and pushing it for the most that they can get out of it. Spinning out. They got a good amount of tier 3 damage. Just need to make sure they don't get caught by the glimpse, which they won't.
SF is just, he's very casually BKB ulting. He's like, whatever, I'm getting Omni'd. I'll force to the rest of my team. We'll split this damage like bros. We'll turn this fight on them. Nope.
That was crazy. And now the Juggernaut is at 16k net worth, working its way towards a butterfly.
Yep. He's really tanky too. He's got 2,500 health. But
we also have an important talent picked up, the Tidehunter, with his percentage-based increase on Anchor Smash. Really important pickup.
It's really nice, against the Tiny especially.
It again comes back to that thing where you want to be useful outside of the Ravage. Being tanky, being on the front lines, and constantly spamming Anchor Smash has a very large impact in these team fights. Empire, though, not one to back down. They're going to keep looking for fights here with the Shadow Blade up. Is that a gem that they picked up, or no, just a sentry?
So this is kind of my concern, at least for Empire, is when they try to take these engagements, it's a little bit awkward.
It is a gem. My bad.
Even with the 10k lead, you never really feel that comfortable in this game.
Why not?
I think the team fight is still very strong for them. And
the Ravage.
Like the tankier your heroes are, the weirder the game feels to play, especially when a large part of your heroes like come down to burst. Like
yeah.
Batrider and Tiny and this SF ulti, like it's all very, you get this one shot of fighting. Whereas it feels as though when you have heroes like Jug and Viper and Tidehunter, you're so tanky that you get a little bit more leeway in these engagements. Because the way that they kill this Jug at this point is like they've got to initiate on top of him, and before he gets spin off, they got a Disruptor ult on top of that. And this Viper's very hard to kill at this point. Like he's super tanky. He's got 2,000 health.
He actually is becoming a problem.
Yeah, he's got 18 armor, BKB.
I don't know how. I honestly don't know how this Viper came back into this game and became relevant again.
Yeah. What's his level 20 talent?
Viper Strike, DPS.
I ran into some like ranked 20 Chinese dude that went like Oh, hold that thought.
Katsor scouting everything out. Oh, actually managed to get the jump on FN and backs out, forcing out the BKB, but the Ravage already blown, only catching Nyx, and FN gets a really good ultimate. This time around, the Omni Slash is going to bounce to his allies. FN down to half HP, but now they've got a lasso. Fortunately, he managed to pop the BKB, and Omni Slash actually hit on Denisha. He's taking a lot amount of physical damage, but he will manage to get out thanks to the healing ward. He will stay alive. The Bat Rider's dropping low. Exotic Deer got a lot of damage on him. Yule Scepter buys him a little bit of time, Force Staff, and blink himself away ahead of that shot. That was close one for both teams, but Kinguin definitely bungled their initiation there.
Yeah, that was awkward, especially because the Ravage comes out.
If they just force the BKB, that'd be great.
They just chill there. That was so weird. Then they go on the Jug, who has a BKB himself, I believe.
Yep.
And Yoku steals his ult, but isn't able to get anything more than that. Gets a very nice spell.
Healing wards.
Yeah.
Gonna be happy with that, especially the tiny.
That's what I mean, though. Like, when you're very bursty like this, and you lack the follow-up damage after your ults.
Butterfly's going to make it that much harder for them to bring down this Jug. Yeah, when he gets it.
That's why you see the SF going, instead of for the spell damage, he's going for the pure right-clicker. Because he understands in this game he needs to.
But that's the beauty of SF, right? You can always change your build to fit the situation. LD Sash replaces a ward as it's about to die.
They know there's no Ravage.
Nisha's going to go ahead and spoil this one. Jumps in front, is going to be lassoed up, but they managed to get the back line. Trying to go for the Disruptor. Nisha's going to be able to pop his BKB. Nyx, though, jumps in and managed to finish off the Tidehunter already with the FN dropping that ultimate. Most of these carries of Kinguin just have to back out. Ghost's looking to be able to slow him down, though. They've already got the kinetic field. Yule Scepter to slow him down even further. Telekinesis grab. Does have a spin up. Is going to throw it up in just a second here, but it's going to fade out. Exotic Deer's just going for the supports. They have to fight this one. They have no other choice.
Oh, we got the ult
slash. It actually goes off. Can he bounce back to Nyx? He gets on top of Nyx, but he doesn't have the damage to be able to finish him off. Only gets the Bat Rider. Katsor, he's got to force the staff himself over the cliff to be able to get out of that fight. At the end, Empire do manage to keep two of their cores alive, the Nyx as well as FN. That's all the damage they need to be able to go high ground and force buybacks. In fact, even more, they're going to be able to catch Katsor here. FN, Nisha's going to go for it without an Omni Slash. He can't really threaten these heroes too well.
Yeah, with the Force Staff available, FN's not afraid of it at all. Buyback, though, on the Jug was forced out. He's still very farmed. And keep in mind, they did not have Ravage, which is where the majority of that comes from. Yep. But very nice gold swing back towards Empire after they had battled for so long to bring that game to pretty much even.
And once they have the Butterfly, like, oof.
Yes.
For the SF, the Jug is going to have a hard time laying damage into him. He's trying to get the Scotty. Is that really the item choice?
I think
Slow down the SF.
Just keep getting tankier.
Yeah.
I think he realizes, like, post the major ultis, it's a little bit harder for them to lock down. If you saw when the Rasta shackled Nyx for half a second.
Yeah.
You're not really reliably disabling anybody at this point. Still,
Kinguin?
they can win fights. Kinguin can definitely win fights. It's like a good Ravage.
Yeah. We're not seeing clean initiations for him, though. Most of the time, BKBs making Ravage a lot harder. They're actually going to go for Roshan here, but a jump in here from Ghostic. Managed to grab him before the spin.
Like
this time around, Nisha's going to end up dying. They threw the Ravage down and everything, and this is a disaster. Without their primary damage dealer, there's no way Kinguin can win this fight, and he's down for 2 minutes. They blocked out with the Cogs, trying to get themselves away from this team fight. Exotic Deer standing on the front lines, dishing out the damage. Managed to get a Hex onto Nyx. Not going to last for long, though, especially with the Yule Scepter canceling the Shackle. All of them are so tanky. They're just not dying anytime soon to the Viper's damage. 4 down with Katsor trying to make himself get out of here. Does manage to TP back, but in the end, Empire don't even need to think about going for Roshan. They just go for the high ground, knowing that Jug has no buyback.
I think the game's just over now.
It's over.
Yeah, what a way to lose.
The one time Nisha isn't fast enough.
Yeah, they battled back for so long, and like that. I was hoping for some like hype 60-minute game. But Empire played very well in that Roche engagement, read that situation. Ghostic was very quick on the trigger. Just goes in. no hesitation at all, realizes they are so out of position. If we kill this Jug once, the game's over. Like, they'll expend every single buyback at that point. If you kill Jug, but you lose like 3 heroes, you just all buy back and go mid anyways. Don't even go for the Roshan. Very good decision making. Very well done by Empire. They would have been really tilted if they lost this game after having the start that they did.
Especially since it all started going downhill with that one Omni Slash.
Yeah.
But they brought it back. They got 2 lanes for backs. They'll go Roche. Scare the game even further, not taking any risks.
It's very weird. Like, Kinguin played so carefully for such a long time.
Yeah.
And that's how they got back into this game in the first place. Like, they were very smart with their engagements. And then the last 2, it just feels like just took their foot off the gas.
Another grab. Kotsor. He's dead, so it's going to be Kinguin again, fighting with some men down for another minute. Fortunately, they've got time. One last hold. Empire pick up the Aegis. Is that a cheese? And yeah, it was a cheese one as well, right? Yeah, Nyx has that. Hard enough to be able to burst down these heroes with the Omni Slash once. Not sure what they're going to do. About a second life on the SF and a cheese on the Tiny. I feel like cheese on Tiny is like the most valuable because you just can't chain stun that guy down.
Yeah, he'll always get it off.
And he's tanky enough to take full heal off of the, is it 2k HP from the cheese? 1500 mana, something like that.
Almost has his AC completed too. Jug has a Blink Dagger now. He wants to be the one to finally jump. That's the awkward part of this game, is that every single engagement has been started by Empire.
Yeah.
Because they have a Batrider versus the Tidehunter. And Tidehunter is such an awkward hero when you're playing against multiple BKBs, because once you get jumped on, like, it's very easy to see him come in, right?
Yeah.
Especially since he didn't have the Blink Dagger.
And the Ravage is slower than it used to be as well. Omni Slash and the initiation in the backline managed to get a hook shot onto the Disruptor. No Static Storm actually did lay it out. It's going to be able to catch and kill the Clockwork. The rest of these heroes are magic immune though, so Exotic Deer and Nisha are going to be able to get back. They finished off that Aegis. Now on the front lines. Ghostic trying to get this, managed to get a good Ravage onto the SF, controlling him up. The Lasso's going to try and slow down this damage from Nisha, but it looks like they can still kill him. Counter Ravage coming out from Yoku, though. Might just be enough to be able to get FN out. No, Nisha is able to bring him down with his blade. Now goes for Yoku up next. They see Nyx. He's going to pop his BKB invis. Please tell me they have some counter vision. Sees him for a second, thanks to the sentry drop, but they do not have anything else. So Nyx is going to be able to get out. Kinguin managed to hold. They force a cheese. They take down the Aegis as well as the SF second life. And they don't lose any buildings for it.
Yeah, it's a very nice rotation, or move by them at bottom lane. Like, Nisha just goes in, he's like, okay, I'm done with getting the fight started by Batrider jumping me every time, or jumping one of us. Let's just go in. He immediately jumps on, kills a hero, then at that point, numbers advantage in their favor.
And death timers are long enough that you won't have a large opening here where Empire can go and force it while the Ravage is down. In fact, they may even try and fight this one out with the Clockwork going in. Instantly dies to Nyx, though. They may still fight. They have got more reinforcements, but Ghostic, just one step ahead of the rest of Kinguin, is able to blink out.
Yeah, Rubik has Ags.
See if he can steal Gush.
He is always going to get Viper.
Yeah.
Like, Viper Strike Ags. It seems so stupid, but it's so annoying. It's so much damage.
And he's got an Ether Lens too, so it's really easy to just cast it from the back.
Yeah, the cast range is going to be absurd.
Gigantic. What's level 25 on Tiny? What's the talent? So I forgot. Multiple tosses, right? That's one of them. And Avalanche cooldown. Which one do you like?
I like the Avalanche so that you can juggle people. Then you get a refresher
orb.
orb.
The multiple tosses?
Yeah,
so
yeah,
juggle?
Yeah. So you take that, and then you get a refresher, and then you get the refresher shard, and someone's just like permanently. Yeah. Some real Ringling Brothers shit.
20k gold lead, double the kills. Empire seem to be in full control of this game. They've got 2 lanes of racks. but they are struggling a bit to be able to close it out entirely. Kinguin holding on to that one last lane, and really, the next push should be even easier. No Aegis, no cheese. But all this time, he does go to the toss charges. All this time, it's like, I just don't see how Kinguin's heroes are going to be able to utilize this time to scale some more.
They're just waiting for Empire to like overcommit for a fight or something.
Yeah.
At that point, that's really all you can do when you're 2 racks down. And you don't have these heroes that can easily shove out waves.
At least the SF is pretty much topped off. Can change out his SMY, get a Moon Shard, pick up an MKB maybe.
This is the downside when Jug's like your
single core.
Yeah, like the game where Mineski was able to do it, they had Gyro and OD. And they had Omni Knight. So that's like a very strong tri-core. But in this game, it's like you've got an underfarmed Tidehunter, a Viper.
Doesn't really scale.
So if you just lock down the Jug, like you're golden.
That's pretty much it. Yeah. That's all their damage.
That's when you really like playing Batrider. It's when you just have to focus on getting 1 core.
Yeah. You think that's why we don't see Batrider be the highest tier? It's because there's so many duo or tri-core lineups.
Yeah, when you see people play Batrider against, like, for example, Liquid, where they always pick this like greedy tri-core, it's like, well, who do you lasso?
Yeah.
I remember like one specific game, they had like Razor, but then they also took like DK and I can't remember what the last hero was, like Terrorblade or something. They just ran. They're very farm tiny though at this point.
Yeah, he's trying to pick up a Daedalus now.
Empire don't want to repeat the mistakes that, funny enough, Kinguin made.
Yeah. Ooh, Kinguin are actually pushing out here. Smoked up. They are going to go for Nyx here. Ravage just
BKB
straight up. BKB now activated by Nyx, but they got the Omni Slash on top of him. It's not going to be enough by itself, but they will manage to slow him down. Jeez, that Omni Slash lasts forever. He's got the maxed out Omni Slash. Looks like they're going to try and go for more here. Passo's trying to slow down Miposhka. But it looks like it's just going to be a one-off. 90 seconds, no buyback. But at the same time, no Omni Slash and no Ravage. So I'm not sure how much Kinguin's going to be able to do with this opportunity.
Yeah, he's got the +5 Omni talent. He pretty much won forever. And he's got a Lincoln's, by the way, to deal with the Batrider. That was weird. He broke the smoke, had some time to get the BKB off.
He probably just anticipated, no way that ravaged me. He did get out the spin off, but at the same time, the physical damage from FN is just far too much. This is the power of that physical damage build for the SF. Fortunately, Exotic Deer, there was no interrupt there, so he was able to just BKB teleport out. And Empire may just go high ground with the Jug dead. They may not have their Tiny, but FN is surely enough.
He's got buyback, though.
Yeah. See if they can force the buyback.
The golden border is there.
Tiny's up in 20 seconds. Does Tiny have boots? Boot to travel? No.
No. Remember he was saving for...
Yeah. So if they want to wait for him, it's going to take a little bit. Oh, double Siege Wagons too.
Ghost 6 Fireflight up.
He's got Lasso, back up again. All he needs to do is grab Exotic Deer. Really, anybody. Katsura is going to try and push him back. Telekinesis stops him before he can go for the Cogs play, but at the same time, he does manage to find his Lasso initiation. Buyback is there. BKB activated. He's going to go for the Omni Slash on FN.
Only hitting
FN. Away from all of his allies. He only has the Omni Slash on him, and it is going to be enough to bring him down. Nisha looks for more. Goes for the spin out. Ghost Stick blinks on top of him, preventing a blink away. He has Yule Scepter. Can he get the blink off? Looks like the Nether Tox is going to stop him here, and he will be brought low. 2 down from Empire now, but it costs him the buyback, as well as the Omni Slash from our Juggernaut. And they still have lanes to deal with.
What did the Rubik steal, by the way? Did he get the ulti? Nah, no, it was close. If he could have gone the Ags ult.
Not really that good.
It's pretty hype. He's really farmed. He's got an Octarine queued up.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Had to force another buyback, though, on the Jug. That was a sick team fight, though. It's whenever Nisha gets these isolated ults, can bring down a core just by himself.
Yeah. Seems like with that 25 talent, he can even bring down the Tiny with the Omni Slash, which is pretty crazy considering how tanky this Tiny is. Nisha's jumping forward, hoping to be able to find somebody to catch. They're trying to force things right now because they've got 20 seconds left on the death timer of the SF. Be a huge win if they could either force an objective or take out a buyback from one of these.
Yeah, pipe is popped. Nisha just frontlining for them. This is the awkward spot now where you don't want to buy back if you're Shadow Fiend.
Yeah.
Because you're just about to respawn. But that works out in favor as he doesn't have to waste that. And there's no need for him to.
Roshan timer. It's going to be our next objective, I presume.
The double Ravage would be very useful. As Empire immediately smoke up. They don't have souls though, right? On the Shadow Fiend, he just respawned. He's only got 18. They're still going to go for it, though. They think that there might be a shot that they're roshing.
Yeah. And Roshan, a late spawn here. So instead, is Empire going to try to utilize this smoke, go for a pickoff? They're just going to control the field and wait for Roshan.
I think you just control the field and wait for Roshan. Going high ground is very scary. But there's no refresher orb on Jug or anything like that. So if he Omni slashes you, you just tank it, go through the Aegis, pop your BKB after, come back into the fight, and you should win the fight at that point. When you have these like giant ults, like these giant single target ults, it's very nice to play with an Aegis.
Well, that certainly gets FN back to full souls. Looks like he's going to go for a Satanic. See if he can maybe survive through the Omni Slash. They are going to be able to grab Katsor here. Free pickoff, costing them the lasso, but that's very little.
He died very quickly.
Yeah.
Now you go back for the Rosh. And if Clock buys back, then you know that they're going to contest it, and you can reposition yourself, and if he doesn't, it's a free Roshan.
Yeah.
It's the benefit of just getting one of those one-offs.
He does not have buybacks, so Kinguin, look at him, even having the supports play super far forward just to make sure that if Kinguin do want to go for the contest here, they try and blink forward, but counter blinks from Empire keep them at a safe pace. Kinguin still trying to find this one. Elisash managed to get the initiation. Nix tries to go for Nisha, actually toss Exotic Deer, already down to half HP, forced to pop his BKB, while Elisash doesn't manage to get out. Unfortunately, his TP canceled by the toss. On the slash, though, stays on the SF. Now bounces over Nix. He's down at half HP. With the healing ward out, these cores are going to stay alive. There's not much Empire can do. Full retreat out now. Kinguin take a 4 versus 5 and are winning it with 2 cores down, but they have to defend the base. Patos has to go back with a big wave pushing in onto the throne, and no tier 4s left. His team is going to have to try and do Roshan with just the 2 cores inside the pit.
And Ghost Stick, it looks like he wants to go for this.
Oh, managed to get the lasso, pulls into Yoku, but they still managed to, jump in from Yoku. Did he manage to grab anything? Yoku, he grabbed the refresher shard as well as the cheese. That is worth his life. They had to keep that refresher shard out of the hands of the Tidehunter.
Very well done. I think that death is well worth it for Yoku. You give up a K, but you keep the refresher shard, like you said, out of the hands, even out of the hands of the Jug.
Yeah, Jug on these slash as well is devastating these team fights. I am astounded at how strong this hero is in the late game.
His ability to just blow one hero up is kind of absurd right now.
Yeah.
Like, they pop BKBs, it's like, fine with me, don't care, doesn't affect me at all.
Every single time I'm like, no, there's no way the Tiny dies to it.
No, they just die.
It just doesn't stop.
And now they're going to go for the high ground, and this is an awkward spot where you're not sure if you want to buy back if you're anybody from Empire.
For me, I'm saying no buybacks. You got a tier 2 at top lane. Okay, maybe you should get the right kind of initiation here. That is not the hook shot that you wanted. With the toss up in the air, that is a Jug and a Clockwork dead. No buyback from the Jug and a pullback. BKB going to be popped. Exotic Deer, as long as... Oh, he doesn't have TP.
He doesn't have TP. They're going to chase him.
They're going to spot him off the tier 2. He's not getting out. He has an Aegis. Maybe he can take Yoku with him. Slowly but surely, the poison damage. Yoku is going to be able to get out. What is this dropped item? Nyx is just taunting him. I like that.
Yeah. And he does go down. That was costly. You can't go in that far. They anticipated with 30 seconds left that nobody from Empire would buy back, but still, that's way too deep. Like, nobody on their team could really follow up, and Viper immediately buys back, which is the right thing to do. Refresh it as fast as you can. You know you have to do it anyways. get the buyback cooldown going. And now this is a weird situation for both teams as...
Oh, no. Okay, he's got buyback. Clockwork's about to come back up. But again, their big damage dealer is the Juggernaut. They don't have that, nor do they have tier 4s to be able to protect the throne. Blink forward is going to try and jump in and get the Ravage out. They already have the control up on the SF. They need to be able to finish him. That is a huge kill, but the BKB already goes down with that ultimate. Now the jump forward by LD. Sash managed to get a Ravage down as well with the Bat Rider sitting on top of the Viper. They're going to be able to get that lasso with the physical damage. They'll bring him down with both the damage dealer set and all of Kinguin out. It is going to be Empire finally able to finish up this game 1. A few bumps in the road, but they finally do get there.
That was a wild game. It felt like for a bit both teams were just like, nope, you take this one. I think that Bat Rider, by the way, got the double ult. I think he was given the refresher, yeah. That's why that stuff matters. Imagine if they have the cheese and the refresher on the Tide. Like, they can hold that fight. That is very unfortunate. And that decision to go in so deep, you have to anticipate. If you go that far in and you know that the Jug doesn't have buyback, they will commit for that. Kill the Jug once and end the game.
Yeah.
And the Tidehunter was way too far forward. He knows that they're 5-manning down there. That's their only play at that point because the Jug's dead. Yes, you have buyback at that point, but do you really want to use it like that?
And the funny part is this morning I ran into Swindles and Kotsor in the elevator, and they were talking about the game that they lost, where they had Mega Creeps and they threw the game, and Kotsor was saying, like, hey, like we all kind of knew like what we screwed up in that late game. Think we're going to be able to fix it. Here's another late game situation where Kinguin definitely made some mistakes and were unable to pull through in a comeback.
Yeah. It's disappointing because they worked so hard for that one.
Yeah.
Like, they made a lot of great plays to be able to do that.
They should not have been in the position where they could have won that game.
And they were.
60 minutes.
And they're still, and to lose like that, I think, is the worst feeling for a Dota player.
Yeah.
Where just like you don't even get to get in a fight. You just kind of get picked off, and it's like, well, I guess the game's over now.
Yeah. You think they can bounce back?
Oh,
I mean,
for
there's
sure.
2 late game scenarios where they've lost.
Yeah. I think this was more draft related.
I'm waiting. I'm trying to stretch out for you guys to sit down on the panel.
Just immediately throw it before he's ready.
All right, we're going to go to the panel. See you guys later.
1, 2, 3.